We'll let everybody in. So, Happy New Year, you guys.
Happy New Year, Sam.
Happy New
Yeah.
Year.
So I know that Shar is she's actually with Lisa right now. So Lisa has to run for the plane. So she's is saying bye. So we'll have to wait for her to join. But it's great to see everyone. And we're starting to have our attendees come in, so it's good. I just want to wish everyone a happy New Year. That is joining. And we're going to be getting started in about 10 minutes. Here's Shar.
Happy New Year.
That's right.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, that's right. You're in a beautiful setting, Shar, I was just saying that Lisa was down visiting you in Mexico, and now she's heading on a plane, right?
Yeah, so the timing wasn't perfect because we didn't realize the travel time and everything, that she was going to sit here in this little chair next to me, but she's off and running and traveling, but she got a chance to enjoy us down here, and that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's great. So, but I hear it's a little bit chilly down there right now.
Yes, so we went scuba yesterday, and I normally don't wear a wetsuit, and yesterday I had to wear the cap and the wetsuit and the thing underneath. I was freezing. But for us it's cold is 75 degrees. We're cold at 75 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good.
That's great. And then did you have a great holiday season, Sumit?
Yeah, absolutely. Although it's 75 degrees is what we'd happily take in the current weather. So that's relatively almost like warm. Right now, the temperature here would be about, I think it's about in the 50s probably, yeah. Between 40 and 50. So that's like the peak of Indian winter. So you'd find folks complaining about the weather, the fact that it's rainy, gloomy, and not the brightest start to the new year, but well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and for us Coloradoans, I know Julie, you're in Colorado, right?
Yep, I'm in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, so it's a ski season. So I finally, for the first time, got up the hill a couple days ago, and so it was great getting up and going skiing and so forth. Julie, do you ski?
Yeah, I'm an avid skier.
Yeah,
avid skier. Yeah, there hasn't been much snow our way this year though up in Monarch. So I've only been on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. My son's been 5 or 6 times already, so. He's a little less picky than I am about the snow.
Right. Yeah. I like to have good snow too. Do you enjoy winter sports, Sumit, of any sort?
We don't really have winter sports, Sam. So it does snow in certain parts of India, but they're about 12 to 14 hours away.
Yeah. Right. And so is there anything that people enjoy outdoors during this time of year? Especially just getting out. I know it's quite difficult to get out and stay socially distant, but is there any options for that?
In the cities, not really. So yes, you can head to the mountains, but we only have a couple of ski resorts and they're always overbooked. So not a great idea to head there in the current scenario anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for this conversation today. We have about a few more minutes before we start, but excited to hear about how everybody is going through their goal setting process, and I've been working hard on that for past several weeks, and so I'm interested in how I can improve my game there, and most importantly, how to follow through and actually achieve these goals and realign them throughout the year. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
So let me just say that I had bought my day planner, and I love my little day planner that I got, and, I spilled a bunch of juice all over my day planner. Like, I think it was probably I think it was in April, I was having orange juice and I spilled a bunch of juice all over it. And it was funny because I was so pissed off because, I learned from Julie that you got to have your day planner. You got to have your goals. You got to have your daily thing. Well, anyway, I was going to exchange it, but guess what? I didn't, because 2020 was just like that day planner. It was stained. It was crumpled. It was not perfect. So I kept that day planner.
Yes, and this is something that we can talk about during the forum, but I love paper and writing and books and so forth. And that's been a big part of my goal setting process and earlier. But for the past 3 to 4 years, I've been really struggling trying to go electronic and getting it on my phone and tracking goals on my phone. And I found an app like 3 years ago, and I've been struggling to use it. And this year, finally got it down, and it's working well for me. But what's that?
That's good.
Yeah, but I've been wanting to do it forever because I'd move around so much, and carrying a book with me everywhere I go is just not practical. So.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
why
Shar,
I have the daily productivity planner tear-off sheet that I created so that it's a supplement to my online calendar, because I have, we all have all these things that we need to do that are not on our calendar. And so to have that to help with your priorities for the day that are beyond what's on your calendar is really helpful. And so I have that combo of paper and online.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying, Sumit, do you use paper, or what's your process?
So it's little bit of a mixed bag, Sam. I thought I've been using the iPad and the Apple Pencil for quite some time, and I use the Moleskine app. Last year I thought, like Shar, I'd get myself a planner. It's got a grand total of 2 entries because it was delivered, I think, 2 days before the lockdown began. So, well,
Right.
I'm hoping I get to use a planner this year.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, so we're enjoying our conversation. But we do need to get started.
Thank you, Mr. Timekeeper. So hello, everyone. Welcome to today. Today is the new year of 2021. So now's the time we're going to change, and we're going to make this a fabulous new year, right? So we are going to continue with our people strategy forums. And as you can see from the slides here, we're a mastermind of leaders dedicated to creating workplaces where people thrive, employers reward, and customers love. So anyway, we just welcome everyone back, and thank you all that have been loyal to us. We have just been so excited to have everybody on board, and we have a rockin' new year. We have a lot of exciting new programs going into this next year that I think you're going to find amazing. So hello, my name is Shar Miller, and I am just so happy to be a people strategist. I am a long-term HR person, but I would say I am Shar from HR. So it's kind of funny because Lisa and I were talking about last night. I am an HR person, but I'm from HR, okay? Because I've kind of moved away from being a traditional HR person, okay? So I have a company called Rocky Mountain Health Advocates, and we are a startup company. We have been doing extremely well. We've been in business since 2017. And 2020, believe it or not, we really did well. We thrived in 2020. So yes, small companies can really grow. And I'd love to share all of my ideas and concepts, because I've been using these people strategy concepts with my company, and it's made a tremendous difference. I also do career coaching, and I also partner with Comp Team and help be a career coach with Comp Team. Also, we have Sam, and he is a people strategist, reward strategist with us as well. And he's amazing. He's actually helped my company with help develop our compensation program and helped us be very competitive. And he has an entire team of people that have helped us put together these comp team people strategy forums. So thank you to Sam. Also, we have Lisa Jackson, and she's been awesome. And she works with Culture Pros, and we have been working with her, and she's been phenomenal. She has actually brought in some new ideas, and she's sitting right next to me. And we just enjoyed, she's sitting here. She's about to travel.
Hey, Lisa.
Say hi.
Hello, everybody from beautiful Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, she's here with me in Puerto Vallarta. And then we also have Sumit Singla, and he is a people strategist as well. And I've learned so much from Sumit. He also has been great about creating some infographics and some creative concepts around people strategy. And he's also worked with some amazing companies, and he's been a great partner with us as well. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over some logistics before we get into our beautiful guest speaker. Logistic wise, you're going to notice at the bottom of the screen that we have a chat, and we want everybody to participate, communicate, ask us questions, and also bring up new concepts and ideas, and also bring up some new topics that you'd like us to talk about. And remember, when you are chatting, remember to reply to not only the panelists, but also everybody that's the attendees. So make sure you click that button. Also, Sam will be doing a poll. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with any of us, you can click on that and we'll reach out to you and spend 15 minutes and help you go through, any challenges you're having. And then also, oftentimes, many of our speakers give you more than 15 minutes. So today I'd like to introduce Julie Miller Davis. She is the CEO and founder, and she is just awesome. She has given us ideas about how to be productive in your daily work and in your life and move through those roadblocks. And it's with JMD Productivity Training. So she's got some ideas about what you can do to do coaching that moves along your business, that not only helps companies and business owners and HR, talent management leaders, but she also works with the individuals. And it's just been a joy to have Julie along. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get us started with Julie. So here is our agenda today. So we will be talking about reaching your goals and going above and beyond setting your goals. So what a perfect time of year to do this, right? This is the new year. It's now time to celebrate 2021, because this is going to be a year of transformation, and we are going to change our paradigm. Yeah, we got through 2020. This is going to be the year where not only did we learn everything we did in 2020, but now 2021 is going to even be a better year. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. So I want to say, hi, Julie. How are you doing?
Hi, Shar. I am doing fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Great. Well, we get excited having a conversation with you. I'm going to say hi to, hang on one second.
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you.
Glad to see you, Julie. You guys have a great session. We're headed to the airport here shortly. So
safe travels.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Be safe. Okay. So hi, Julie. Let's get going. So what would we like to talk about as far as productivity and goal setting?
Well, I wanted to start off by talking about 2020. And in order to set effective goals, it's really important to look back at the last year. And number one, even though it was a different year and a hard year, a lot of people came out better than they could have ever imagined or expected, and had their best year ever, actually, some of these companies and businesses. And so I think it's really important always before we set new goals to do a review of the previous year. And I think it's really important that we look at the successes that we had and what we learned from 2020. So, what were the things that we had to do in 2020? If you can look at it from a very analytical perspective and think about the things that you had to do in your company, in your business, in order to stay agile and adapt to what was happening, whether it was your employees all being and you being sent home to work remotely and figure that out, and what is that going to look like, and keeping them engaged, which is why the People's Forum really happened from Comp Team, is that how do we keep that community? How do you keep that corporate morale up, and make sure that people are feeling engaged with each other, and that you as a CEO care about them still, and that they're not expendable. So it's important that we go back and look at those successes and how did we really move forward through the muck,
Yeah.
And so also looking at our successes, what it does is if we're sharing those with our team, if we're sharing those with our employees, it's going to really create a renewed sense of commitment, because they're going to see how far you came, how you adapted, how they came along with you. And it renews that whole sense of commitment, which I think is really important. So we have to not only be looking forward, we have to be reviewing. And we also can't set goals for ourselves unless we review, unless we know what we did and where we came, and then we can assess where we're going.
Well, can I interject here?
Yes.
I have to say, oh my gosh. So, Sam and I were planning these people strategy forums, and I don't know, what was it? Beginning of March, February, January. And we actually were planning to have Andre Bloom. He's going to be our speaker next week. And we are planning to have a leadership forum in person. And we are really going to kick off our new people strategy forum around the TMA method. Suddenly, COVID hit. We had to cancel, Andre's trip. It was like, end. Meanwhile, my company was, as soon as all of a sudden we're hearing about the lockdowns, and we realized that we're going to go out of business. Oh my gosh, everybody's going to lose their jobs. It was kind of a fascinating year, because not only was the talent management side of my world with Comp Team getting very scary, we were also worried we're going to lose our business. So we had to do a lot of growth, right? So one, we had to pivot with Comp Team and start doing virtual people strategy forums that we were doing for free. It was all complimentary. It was all giving, because we knew a lot of companies are going to need this time. And then secondly, we knew that my employees, we may be facing lockdown. So everything was going to shut down. Can you imagine sleepless nights, no sleep, waking up at 3 a.m? I would say yes, crying a couple times. It was a very, very scary time.
Right.
And I would say most of the business leaders on this call went through something like that. Right, Julie?
No doubt.
Absolutely. No
Sam?
question. No question that happened to, I would say, everyone who owns a business, because we really didn't know what the future held. Most of my business, luckily, had already been moved online, but I have clients who aren't online. So were they going to be able to continue on with me or not? And how was I going to help them be agile and make shifts and tweaks and be able to stay open and making money and have peace of mind, right? So Yeah, but Shar, you know, we have to look at the positive that came out of it. And Carol just said, you know, as a global workplace, we learned that remote work was more possible than we ever thought. You know, companies never really entertained remote working. And now a lot of companies aren't even going to go back to in-person working. You know, REI had their whole new corporate headquarters built and they hadn't even moved in yet. And they're not ever even going to move into that building ever. They're going to have small satellite places for corporate, but mostly their people are going to remain remote. If you look at People Strategy Forum, you were going to be live and in person. And look at how many more people you can serve because you've been online. Look at how many more people have access to the beauty of what you guys are doing because of the platform that you've been forced really to create through this pandemic. I had a couple of pretty difficult things happen that I thought were supposed to be in person that I had to take online. One, I will go back to in person. One, my big event, I was able to serve across the United States from coast to coast, top to bottom, which people would have never been able to attend in person. And I did it hybrid, and it was the best event I've ever done. And so it's just really important that, yes, we have to acknowledge that it was hard, but guess what? When things are hard, we come out stronger. Shar, your company's better. It's going to be better. Like there's just a lot happening that wouldn't have happened because of going through something really hard like this. And so that's the other thing that helps us if we get back to the goals, is looking at that whole celebrating successes also not only builds that sense of commitment, renews a sense of commitment, it also helps create that positive work mindset, that positive company mindset, because we're not just boo-hooing about how hard it was. And we're like, oh my gosh, look what we did. And now all of a sudden we have this raise in morale of happiness and of positivity within the workplace, even if they're not in the workplace, right? And then
Absolutely.
the other thing, yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So
yes.
I think that's a great point about positivity, Julie. And in fact, I read a quote recently which just stuck with me. So I was reading some data on engagement, and one would expect that employee engagement would be at rock bottom in such a difficult year when people don't know where the business is going. People don't know whether they'll have a job at the end of the day or not. COVID is destroying lives and livelihoods altogether. And interestingly, employee engagement has seen an unprecedented increase this year. And I mean, I think one line just sums it up, that we're all in different boats, but we're in the same storm. So I think leaders have learned to be a lot more human. People are being much more vulnerable towards each other. And even the goal setting process probably has never been as employee centric as it is becoming now. So the goal setting process is probably no longer being taken mechanically. It's taking the human element into consideration. That's what I see around myself, at least happening in India, where I'm based.
I thank you for that. I love that. I think that we have come to realize the importance of human connection. Which has always been important, but we take it for granted, right? That we have access to each other. And if we as leaders in our companies can really delve into that human element. And I love, Sumit, that you talked about that leaders are having to they're having to be more human, more vulnerable, see their people as not just workers, but people.
Absolutely.
It changes everything, and it's going to raise that engagement. It's going to raise that happiness and satisfaction piece. And so once we have looked back, it's really important that we then start setting our goals. And a program that I'm in right now, mastermind that I'm in, we are really talking about how it's so important to set 5 big goals for your company and then narrow it down to your top 3. What are the 3 that you want to really focus on in the year? And if we look at the top 5, many times we will find that they are related to each other. So if you prioritize them in the right way, if you start striving for one, it might take care of a couple of those goals, because in order to reach this one, these other ones have to happen also, or will happen as a result of reaching the big goal. And so when I talk about setting those big goals, I know a lot of people are resistant to the term SMART goal because it was overused as this big buzz, SMART goals. But the fact is that if we are setting SMART goals and they are measurable and they are strategic and they are trackable, they are tracked, it is so necessary. And Sam and I were talking before we went live about how you really need to break them down quarterly or assess them quarterly. Here's the thing about goals is so many times we set them and we're just setting them and we're not really breaking it down into actionable steps and sub steps. And so if you can set your goal in such a way that you then say, okay, in order to reach that, I need to be here by 3rd quarter, here by 2nd quarter, here by Q1, the end of Q1, and then set your action items around that, you'll really, and then what are your date? Like then the action items have to be planned. What are they? What are you doing daily to reach that goal, to reach that milestone? Or that's, that subset. And we have to do things daily or it sneaks up on us. April 1 will be here, March 30 will be here, and we'll be like, oh my gosh, Q1 is over. And we haven't been intentional and done the things that we needed to do to get where we needed to be. Now we're behind by a quarter. I really believe, I love, Sam, we were talking about how quarterly you have to reassess because your goal might shift. It might get bigger. It might get a little smaller. It's not smaller necessarily, but it might shift. And so the other thing about this whole, we need to assess every 90 days and reset a little bit. Because again, we're not chiseling them in stone, right? We have to be agile. We have to be, especially when we don't know what this year is going to look like. And so we might have to just change our actions. It might not even be changing the goal. It's just like, whoa, we need to assess how we are trying to achieve this. What are the steps we are taking? But the other important thing to remember that I talk to my clients a lot about, like constantly, is the 90-day rule, which is the things that we are doing now are going to come to fruition in April, March and April. And if things are going like super smoothly for us and they're awesome, it's not because of what we're doing now. It's because of what we've been doing the last 90 days, and we can reap the rewards then. But now if we just ride the wave and things are fantastic, 90 days from now, because we didn't do anything, because we were like, woohoo, things are awesome. In 90 days, we're like, what happened? Everything's drying up. We didn't make any progress. Well, when you're riding the wave, that's time to go like, whoa, how do we keep this strong instead of having the big dips or having the wave crash, right? So how do we keep riding it? And it's so important to take action 90 days before and to assess 90 days at the end of that 90 days and to assess and adjust, right?
So let me make a comment here too. Something that I learned in this last year is sleep is so important. So sleep, if you got your goals written down by your bed and you've got your goals, obviously organized and on paper, but when you go to sleep, your synapses, your mind is repairing itself and it's recreating itself and redeveloping it. So that way the goal may still be there, but it's going to be modified as you're getting your mind to repair itself and to sleep through it. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think sometimes what leaders do and executives and HR people do is they want to stay up all night long and they want to write out their goals and they want to put their lists together and we got to get all these 10 tasks done. But wait a minute, take those 5 goals, get some rest, sleep, and then maybe you need to revise and recreate what you've already originally planned. And what I've also learned in 2020 is that it's okay to adapt and revise and modify it.
Always.
And that don't get all, uptight and upset with yourself because, well, that didn't go as planned.
Right.
Right.
But
That's
because every day some news is coming out, something on media, which is depressing in itself. You got a new COVID, blah, 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 blah. And now you got to take that goal and you got to modify it and you got to recreate it.
Right.
So
One other thing.
That's something I've learned. Go ahead.
Yeah, one other thing that I want to add though is and this came up the other day when Shar, Shar, you told me last week that you went out to buy a new computer and you bought a computer in Mexico, and you're trying to set it up and the keyboard was all weird because it was made for Mexico and I was talking about. Yeah, and I was talking about my situation. My wife is French, and so when we go to France in the summer, I look at the keyboard, and it's completely different. I'm like, oh gosh, how do I'm hunting and pecking, trying to figure out how to use it. And then it made me think, and I was talking to my kids about this, and they were like, going, yeah, it's so hard to learn these, how to type and so forth. And then I was looking at the kids like, do you ever wonder why we set the keys on the keyboard so they're in this strange order? I mean, why is that? Why do we do that? The QWERTY keyboard, why is it in that format? And I mean, it takes so long that it seems like it's cumbersome, And so doing a little thought exercise and research, I found that the keyboard was actually designed to slow us down. It was designed to slow us down because in the old days, we had the keys where you had to push down and the lever came and hit the page and so forth, right? And so the keys were designed to slow us down because those hammers would come and they get stuck and they weren't able to hit the page. But lo and behold, we're in the computer age now, and we're still using a keyboard that was designed to keep us inefficient. So
interesting.
Yeah. And so, and there was a gentleman that thought about this and he's like going, okay, we got to fix this. And his name was Dvorak. And so he rearranged the keys on the keyboard so that they were faster. And so that it was ready for the computer age. But we've never adopted the Dvorak keyboard. And so just think about that and when we set our goals. I mean, Howard brought it up. I mean, the world has changed on the chat. How many of those things are we doing right now that are just because we've always done them in the past? I mean, why haven't we? We've had computers for what, 20, 40, 30, 40, 50 years now. We no longer are hammering on these little things. I mean, why haven't we adapted?
Well, that's funny because there's literally 150 different or more. And Summit, you might know more about this than I would know. There's more than 150 different languages on that keyboard. I mean, it's crazy. I Googled it and I think, I got a master's degree. I don't think I'm not good at math, but I couldn't figure it out, and this is driving me crazy. I cannot figure out this keyboard. So this is a cell phone. I'm still on a cell phone right now. But guess what? This cell phone works better than a keyboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've had to learn how to adapt. And, and as I'm moving into my new goals this year, it's like, that's one of my goals is to be agile and not have anxiety and stress because every day is going to change and it's not going to be perfect. No day is going to be perfect. So, we have to live in the moment. Don't worry, be happy, work with it.
One
That's
other
good
thing.
advice, Shar.
Yeah. One other thing I just wanted to bring up real quick on something you said, Shar, is that you were saying about you had you keep your goals next to the bed. You mentioned, and so I think that is also another great practice. I mean, it is when we set our goals for the year, and like Julie, what you mentioned is those having those 90-day goals. What I do is I make sure what I do is I put my 90-day goals on a poster like this. And so, and I don't know, you probably can't see this, but it has, goals for family, my financial goals, has work goals. And I keep this posted on my wall next to my work. And so I come back and you notice that they're all on sticky notes, right? And so I also have these tracked electronically, but I like to have it on the wall where I can see it. And so when I've achieved a goal, I take that one sticky off and perhaps I replace it with another that's going to be on my next 90-day goal. And so I really find that to be a cool practice. And I just thought that was neat that it's something similar to what you do, Shar, and you keeping those goals next to your bed.
If you really want to know the truth, it was Julie.
Yeah.
Julie is actually the one that taught me more about this. So what year was that, Julie? I think it was
It's probably 2015.
2015. So I went to one of Julie's seminars. And at the time I was working my corporate job, but I went to one of her seminars and she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about her slip of paper, writing the goals down and, writing them down every night and sleeping on them. So hats off to Julie. I think she taught me some of those skills.
Yeah. So tell us more, Julie. What are other skills little tidbits that you
Well, I think that what Shar's talking about, I think for some people it works to, if you want your brain to work on stuff, it really helps to write them down or set the intention before you go to sleep at night. Some people, I need to look at stuff in the morning and assess it in the morning and not in the evening because my brain fires up and then I don't sleep actually. So I have to look at things in the morning rather than in the evening. And although, of course, if our brain is working on a problem, it will keep working on it, whether we want it to or not. And it will work while we're sleeping. How many times are we working on something and we go and take a shower and the answer comes to us in the shower because we walked away from it, right? And I just saw, yes, Susan, this whole thing, you have an accomplishment board. I like that you have an accomplishment board in my daily productivity journal that I created at the beginning of each day, you do your gratitudes. What are 3 things you're grateful for? But at the end of the day what were 3 successes that I had today? So those successes, a lot of days we feel like we didn't get anything done or we were a failure or things didn't go how we wanted them to or whatever it is, but there's still successes. There's still lessons that we learned. There's still things that we did that we weren't expecting that might've been good. So what are successes each day and celebrating those successes along the way? But if you look at that, I look at what you're saying there, Susan, that if you have this goal board, maybe you also have an accomplishment board. Like Sam, what if you reach that goal in your 90 days and you take that sticky note and you put it on the accomplishment board? Then you're watching like this whole thing shift, right? Which I really actually like that visual quite a bit. But yeah, and what I want to come back to also is something that Sam, that you talked about on your board. You have family, you have business, you have all the financial, these different goals. And I want to come back to that because as we were talking earlier, before everybody came on, is that when you were talking to several people yesterday, almost every single one of them was talking about having a greater focus on their families and on their health this year.
That's right.
And so as CEOs, as business owners, as leaders, I think it's really important to adjust your thinking that way. All your goals do not have to be about your businesses. They don't all have to be about work. And maybe if you are having employees create goals, or if you are having your team help you create goals, how do you integrate those personal things in there? Because if people are if people are having these family goals, these personal health goals, these whatever it might be, they are going to be more productive for you.
Mm-hmm.
They are. And if you are setting things up where because they're not commuting, because they're not necessarily taking long lunch breaks, or because they're getting more done, what if they finished work at 3 and from 3 to 5, they're able to work on those other aspects of their lives? They're going to come back so refreshed at 8 in the morning or whenever it is. And however you're structuring their work days, or if they're structuring their own. But what happens when people are more productive and we're just asking more and more and more and more of them? We're burning them out and creating that unhappiness in the workplace, rather than, you know what, we're gonna create a way for you to be productive. We're gonna look at how we're reaching these goals, and it could open up. We were talking earlier. I have my clients, a lot of times I try to get them to that space where they have 10 hours a week that would normally be considered the quote unquote work day,
Mm-hmm.
that they can now do the things that they love to do. It could be around work. It could be around their business, and where they're wanting to implement some big project ideas in order to grow the business. But it can also be, we're going to use that time to actually take the Friday off and have a long weekend with the family, or I'm going to do this for these days or these hours for me. Or for my mental health, or for my physical health, or whatever it may be.
Right.
And that's what has made my business appealing to other people to come and engage with me, because I work about 3 days a week in the summer. Wintertime, I try to take at least 1 to 2 weekdays, not just weekends, a month to go up to skiing. I play tennis every Wednesday morning, except today, because I'm with you guys. It's just, we are finding ways to take care of ourselves, take care of our families, but we as CEOs need to support that in our teams and help them find ways to still achieve their goals, but make those goals not only work and business centered, because we need to hear and listen to that human element. And Sumit, this comes back to what you're saying, that these CEOs are starting to, because of what we've been through in 2020, see the human element of their business community, of their team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in fact, I remember reading an HBR article a few years ago, Julie, which said that if you, as a business leader, if you simply ask your employees, what are some of your personal goals for this year, and how can I help you in restructuring your work so that you're able to accomplish them, the employee engagement and the discretionary effort that people put in, it actually increases. And even if you give people, say, half a Friday off, or you tell them that they're fine, it's fine if they leave a few hours early on a certain day because they've got to take their kids to soccer practice or something of that sort, the productivity actually goes up. And interesting that you brought this up now, because I think the connection with 2020 is that I think more business leaders were asking this question to people. Maybe some of them were doing it for selfish reasons, just to understand how do I keep a watch over somebody who's not sitting in front of me and I can't keep looking over their shoulder. So just putting the ball in their court and asking them, what do you need from me to be productive or successful? But whatever it was, I think it's working, and it's great if more people start stepping up to the plate and doing this.
I love that, because now you're involved in supporting them in reaching their goals outside of your company, which adds that human element, which increases productivity, increases happiness, increases all of that stuff. And every single study that I've read on productivity throughout the pandemic in 2020, from Harvard Business Review, from entrepreneur.com, success.com, and some various other places that I follow, is all productivity with remote working was way up, way up. my hope, and I haven't dug deeply enough, is that people are not working. People were at the beginning, and when you guys first had me on in June, people were working more than they had ever worked. Like they were working, I mean, insane amount of hours, which mentally we can't keep that up. And so it was then all about finding the balance between when to shut things down and how to shut things down, and keeping track of your family, your mental health, yourself, all of those things. And so I think we've come a long way since March as far as that goes.
Yep.
And able to create focus in different ways for different amounts of time, and then also take care of ourselves, because we didn't, I think people worked so hard all day long at their offices and everything. They really and truly didn't know how to take care of themselves or their families when everybody was home and everybody's trying to go to school or work or, all the things. And so then we just worked all the time.
So I have to share, and I may have brought this up last forum. There's so many virtual courses that are new. So there's something called masterclass.com. And what instigated me to initiate it with my company is we had a very contentious dialogue with one of my managers. He was acting out like he always does. And anyway, he's been a problem. But anyway, what I've done is this masterclass teaches people how to communicate with people more effectively. And it's actually done by an FBI agent who learns how to negotiate, like if there's somebody, obviously a bank hostage or some kind of issue where they're having to negotiate a life or death situation. It's on Masterclass, and I think his last name is Foss. But anyway, Masterclass has all these other classes too. It has over 100 classes. The classes are on how to cook. The classes are on how to decorate your house. Classes are one of my favorite guys in the world, his his name's Rupal. I love him because he teaches you about self-confidence and style and building your own. This is your style, this is who you are, this is your confidence. I love his class. It's been absolutely phenomenal. All the classes are about how to improve your life on a personal sense. How to do a different skill that you never learned how to do before. And yeah, it's a fee. I mean, yeah, you spend, $15 a month. Also there's Audible, $15 a month. But I am now giving this as a gift to my employees so that they can, because I don't read, I listen to my books. And there's so many great books that I'm listening to, and a gift of something virtual that employees can do at home. They can do personal virtual learning. They can do work related learning. They can do business learning. They can do sport. Like, okay, guys, who's the guy that, I can't even think of his name. The guy that's, he's a great football player, or excuse me, basketball player. Who's the guy, the big basketball player? He's out of Oakland. Well, I can't think of his name. But anyway, he's awesome. So he teaches how to shoot a football or a basketball. Obviously, I don't know anything about sports. But he teaches you how to shoot a basketball. There's people that teach you how to play tennis. There's people that teach you how to, improve your skiing, everything. Yeah. But I love it because it's showing people that if you have passions outside of work, you can actually learn to do those passions. And still we love you and appreciate you because you're doing things outside of work. You're doing things for your family, for your mental health, and you're not going to just be required to watch a learning management system tool on sexual harassment or what's the employment law that week or what's HIPAA training. It's something that's going to personally benefit them. I mean, there's one class on how to go to a farmer's market, pick up all kinds of fruits and vegetables and figure out how to make a beautiful home meal with farmers market.
I like that you're doing that, Shar, that you're helping them kind of feed their souls a little bit rather than just feed the business, because by feeding their souls and getting them focused on other things that will fill them up, it's going to help your company reach its goals for the year as well. And it helps those conversations around goals too, I believe. So thanks, Maribel, for clarifying that it's Steph Curry and
Steph Curry. See,
yeah.
Thank you. I can't even say his name.
Yeah. One other thing that you mentioned, and I think that it needs to be thought of for this next year is we were talking about the productivity being up and employees being engaged and potential for burnout. We're working very hard. I think that one thing that we've forgotten is that the importance of some of the time that we're spent in our commute, reflection time or quiet time, or the time that we do some either meditation or thoughtfulness or those things. And I think setting some time for those activities is quite important in our remote lifestyle.
I agree, Sam. We, I think we actually talked about this in one of the forums that I came on later in the year last year. But we don't have any downtime anymore. That was naturally built into our lives before we all were staying at home for the majority of the time. And so I actually, if my camera weren't attached, I have rearranged my office. I got rid of a table in here and put in a chair that I move out of this chair, and once a day go over there and I read and kind of just have a moment. And I'm reading usually a business book. It's still in my business day, but I read for pleasure in the evenings. But it's something that I really intentionally set a space for in order to take a break from being on the screen and being at my desk. And the other thing is so important for productivity around that is, we don't take coffee breaks and meet at the water cooler and have conversations with people anymore. But y'all, it's really important that you take even 15 minutes lunch break away from your desk and go sit in the kitchen or wherever and eat, or go walk around the block. Like maybe you would normally be going to the water cooler or wherever, or to the coffee break room or wherever. Go walk around the block. It'll take you 5 to 7 minutes and you're not going to lose, you're only going to gain.
That's right. Sumit, weren't you telling me about a natural cadence that we need to be aware of for work and productivity?
Oh, so that's called the ultradian rhythm, and it says that you should divide your day into intervals of 90 and 30 minutes. There are various schools of thought. In fact, one of the techniques is called the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro being Spanish for tomato, and there's no science to it really. The person who originated it had a timer which was shaped like a tomato, so that's why it's called the Pomodoro technique. And they say do something for 25 minutes and then take a break for 5, and keep repeating it. You'll find your productivity increasing. So there are different theories on how to make your workday more effective, but I think they all agree that it's important to give yourselves that downtime to take a little bit of a break. And personal experience, when this entire lockdown scenario began, I figured I was turning into a bit of a slob, nearly living on my laptop and waking up in front of it, having my meals in front of it. And after 2 weeks, it was as if my eyelids had been permanently taped up, or my eyes were perpetually open. So I realized not the healthiest thing to do.
Not healthy.
And it was taking a toll on physical and mental well-being both. So
and I really believe, Sumit,
what are you going to do this year that's going to be personal development for you? What are you going to do? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sorry, was that me or?
Yeah, I want to know, what are you going to do for yourself? What's your personal productivity, personal goal this year?
I think just to get more organized. I I'm probably one of the most disorganized people I know. So that's why I've consciously turned to pen and paper, because I tend to surround myself with so much of technology that I lose track of what all I'm tracking. So it's easy to have an Apple Watch. It's easy to keep writing stuff on your iPad and so on and so forth. I'm going old school for this year. I've got a whiteboard behind me, so I keep writing down stuff on it. And like Sam's little post-its, it's actually a sense of accomplishment to wipe something off, saying this is done. So it was a great
Yes.
feeling when just before the winter break, I was able to actually physically clean the whiteboard and say, clean slate, new beginnings next year.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks for sharing.
I really like what you were saying, Sumit, about taking breaks. And my school of thought is that you shouldn't really work any more than 90 minutes without a break. I just don't think that we are meant for that, built for that. We need to get up and move and let our brains be reset. And Brendan Burchard, who is a highly successful speaker, entrepreneur, he subscribes to work 50 minutes, break for 10. And I think that's how he, that's what he subscribes to. People say one thing and do another sometimes, but I don't think it's a bad way to go, that you work for 50 and break for 10. And that 10 minutes, everyone who's out here in Facebook land on here, 10 minutes is a long time. It's a long break. If you think about when you were in high school and stuff, and you had like 5-minute passing period or 6-minute passing period, it was long enough to like see your friends, go to your locker, wander down the hall, all that stuff. And that was only 5 or 6 minutes. If we take 10, that's like long enough to, I don't know, get a snack and go to the restroom and maybe like text somebody, There's a lot you can do in 10 minutes.
Interestingly, Julie, it's been precisely 50 minutes since we began. So
it has been.
Is that feedback?
That's right. Yeah, we are coming to the top. Yeah, we are coming toward the top of the hour. So while we're here, real quick, and let me just mention a word about our sponsor, the TMA method, and as we started off at the beginning of the call, we are going to have Andre Bloom come out and talk to us. He is the international leader of the TMA method, and so we're going to talk about integrated talent management. Let me see if I can just go to that slide really quick. So we're going to talk about integrated talent management next Wednesday, and so that's going to be a great discussion. That's going to kick off a variety of topics that we're going to go through on the forum. We're going to revisit recruiting and sourcing of talent. We're going to talk about teaming and onboarding and a lot of different topics in integrated talent management. And so Andre is going to kick off that effort, and he's also going to talk about a international talent workshop that is going to be put on as well in February. And so there's going to be more to talk about that. Also, next week, we're going to have another speaker on Tuesday, and this is on the Rewards Mastermind. And we're going to have Ruth Thomas from Curo, and she's going to talk about reward trends for 2021. What do we need to focus on this year to ensure that our employees are we're able to attract the people to work at our companies? How do we retain them and motivate them during the year? And so that's going to be a great conversation. So do join us for that. We'll have, you'll see that email come out as a reminder. So also right now, what I would like to do is release our poll. And this is, if you'd like to talk with Julie and get more information on how you can do your goals better for this year and how you can be more successful, and please reach out to her. If you have any questions on talent management issues, or if you'd like to learn more about the TMA method or take an assessment for TMA to learn how to be drive your professional life and in your competencies in your career and so forth, and learn more about that, please reach out and we'll get you set up on a free TMA assessment and portal access. So just go ahead and use that poll there.
And can you pull up Julie's slide there?
Yes. And Julie, tell us about your free gift that you have today.
So I have a free gift for all of you. If you choose to take advantage of it, it's a 30-minute audio recording that you can download and listen to in your car or wherever. That is basically 5 tips to help you get the most out of every day and every week. And it will end up saving you hours in your week if you can just get really focused and centered and get those priorities going, right? And this particular recording is a really nice extension of what I train on in some other videos that are out there in my YouTube world and things. But this is really only available when I speak. It's not something that people can that they find anywhere unless on my website or anything. This is something that is really just for you or for whomever, whatever audience I'm speaking to. I will make a note. If you probably won't find it if you don't put the W's in front of my address. So please make sure you put the W's there and then the number 5 tips after my address, juliemillerdavis.com/5 tips.
So one other thing, Julie, as we were talking, we started off this conversation before we started the forum about the different mediums and how we track our goals throughout the year and so forth. And I know that I use an electronic methodology. I know that Sumet uses a little bit electronic and paper, and Shar has a planner and so forth. And Julie, I believe you have some tools that you use with your clients that for your practice that really helps. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The one tool that I have is my daily productivity planner, which is a paper supplement to your daily calendar. So it really is about what are the things that you want to do today or that are on your mind in a brain dump format. And then what are the 3 main things that will drive you towards your goal that you can do today? So you kind of break it down. Are there any things on that list that can be delegated? Are there any things that really just need to be put later on in your calendar and aren't a worry today? They're just something that is on your mind. And so that tool is really useful because then you also take those 3 things that you want to do that'll drive you towards your goal that day and put them in your calendar so you actually schedule time to do them. That's the big tool that I have as far as that goes. And I am also offering, if any of you follow me anywhere, Instagram is JMD Productivity. I'm like, I just changed my Instagram name. So I'm like, what is that? And Facebook is Julie Miller Davis, the number 15. I'm also going to be doing a 5-day challenge coming up in the next month or so around productivity and how that can lead to profit. So there's a lot of tools and schools of thought out there. And if you engage with me a little bit more, there's all kinds of things that I put out there that you can take advantage of for sure.
And just really quickly, for somebody that's interested in maybe that 5-day challenge, as you mentioned, how would they learn more about that?
If you want to learn more about that, please go to my LinkedIn and follow me there. Connect with me there. Connect with me on Facebook, Julie Miller Davis 15, and follow me on my page there. But you can also just, if you were to get on my monthly newsletter list at juliemillerdavis.com, go to the very bottom and subscribe to my sizzling stuff. You will get all kinds of information about that 5-day challenge.
Okay. So as we close up here, Julie, what are the biggest things that you think that companies and leaders should be thinking about for 2021? Is there any big themes as far as I guess big rocks that most leaders are thinking about for coming out of the pandemic and being agile and resilient in the new year?
I think the biggest thing we have to think about is that just because things aren't how they've ever been does not mean you have to think small. And if you can think about revenue goals as well as performance goals that you have, as well as then those human elements of family and health, self type goals, that you're going to be able to grow bigger than you ever thought. And just, I mean, think about how you can look at things a little bit differently from different perspectives in order to reach those big goals that you have. You don't have to make them less. You just have to look at them from different angles than you might have before, and include your team, because people have ideas about how to do things. And if you can include them and ask them how you can support them and see how they can support you, you're going to be bigger than you've ever been.
It's great advice. All right.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Julie. You have been just a great addition to our team. We want to have you back if you would love to join us and be an ongoing contributor to our experts and our expert guest. So we so appreciate you and your time and focusing and missing your tennis this morning. But we deeply appreciate you, and this is going to be a great 2021. Definitely.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me back.
You bet. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful day and wonderful rest of the week. And let's look forward to a great year.
Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, everyone.
All right. Happy New Year 2021.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. All right. Bye.
Bye.